Ban ji ba. A short speech. Only using PowerPoint. Very, very engaging period. It's like not too many people are around. 26 people are around. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, good
Good evening, sir.
evening. Good evening. How now?
Registrar, good evening, sir.
Madam Chair, good evening.
God bless you. It's Prof. Willow speaking, sir.
So sorry, our distinguished prof.
God bless
sorry,
you,
ma.
sir.
How is
Good
daddy?
evening, everybody on the call. I can see Prof. Shodipo and others. Good evening,
Okay.
everybody.
Good evening, ma.
Well done, sir.
Thank you very much, ma.
God bless you, sir. How is the family, sir?
Very fine, ma. How is daddy?
Daddy is fine. We are
Thank
still
God,
in
ma.
the US.
Oh, okay. I returned yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, from NAPSA.
Yes, ma.
I thought I saw you on the platform. Well done. God is your strength.
Amen,
well
ma.
done, sir.
Amen, ma.
Good evening, all. Present
Good
Mrs.
evening.
Shodipo.
Good evening, Prof. God bless you,
good
Prof.
evening,
Well
Prof.
done, ma.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you, ma.
So I thought you said you have transferred this thing now, data. Okay, transfer the data to my account. Sorry, my dear.
Good evening, everyone. Our dear registrar, the speaker for tonight, and other guests with us, our distinguished professors, our directors and fellows of the college, fellows of the society, you're welcome to this special edition of the CPAN interaction with the chief regulator of our practice and education in Nigeria. We'll be starting very soon. Our moderator will soon join us and we will start. Thank you very much. We have about 32 people online now, and in the next 2 to 3 minutes, we shall start. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that information.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Registrar, sir. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Guess what, Mayor, sir?
Godiya nake.
Good evening, sir.
Ah,
Ya tafiya, sir.
lafiya lau labai ya Katsina.
Ka tsira lafiya lau, sir.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you, sir. Isa lafiya, sir.
Lafiya kalau.
So, adalla. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, good evening once again. This is exactly 15 minutes into the time that we agreed to start this meeting, and not to punish those that try to come early. We will start right now. So I will be holding forth until the delegated moderator joins us, and I will also be assisted by Pharmacist Quanta Roland in this task until Dr. Ronari joins us in this meeting. My name is Abdulmumin Issa, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the National Chairman and ESCOs of CPAN to this special edition of our meeting. In this case, we are honored to have the Registrar of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria joining us to discuss a very important matter. But before we go on, let us start the program with a word of prayer. I will request that our very distinguished Professor Cecilia Ihoma should please give us the honor of starting today's meeting with an opening prayer for us. Thank you very much, ma'am.
God bless you. Let us pray. And precious Father, we come before your holy presence in appreciation, thanking you for the gift of life, thanking you, Lord, for all that concerns and pertains to pharmacy. Lord, we thank you for our gathering is unto you. We thank you for the organizers. We thank you for the national chairman of CPAN and all the executive members. Thank you for our registrar. Thank you, Lord, for all the directors and all the people that you have handed over the affairs of pharmacy into in this nation. Lord, strengthen them and uphold them. Our gathering is unto you, Lord. Help us that at the end we will have every cause to glorify your holy name. Thank you, faithful God, for in Jesus' mighty name I have prayed. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Ma. And thanks for accepting to do this honor for us. At any point that we have the elders and our grandparents with us, we're always happy and we like to tap from your grace. Thank you very much, Ma. So,
God bless you. Thank you.
The National Chairman of CPAN, Dr. Maureen Nwafo, members of the National Executive Council of CPAN, our registrar, pharmacist Ibrahim Babashir Ahmed, and members of the council that are present with us here, dear professors, heads of departments of pharmacy in the hospital and the faculties, as well as our research institutes, fellows of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, and fellows of the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists, very senior and colleagues in the profession of pharmacy in Nigeria and diaspora. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this meeting tonight. And as you will all have seen in the flyer about the program, we'll be having our registrar, pharmacist Ibrahim Babashir Ahmed, speak to us on a very topical issue, which is christened institutionalizing pharmaceutical care standards, the regulatory imperative of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria in building patient confidence and public health equity. As you would have seen, what we have is interaction. So our registrar has agreed to speak to us and open the floor for us to raise issues that have to do with words of advice and how we all can see to it that our profession's practice moves beyond where it is today. Our registrar has been dedicated in advancing pharmacy practice since he assumed office, but he still believes that there are things that we can still do better. And as a family, we'll be able to come together and suggest the way forward. So before I call on the registrar, who's the guest speaker today, to talk to us on this topic, let me call on pharmacist King David Auchago to give us a brief biography and welcome for the speaker. Pharmacist King David, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, my elders. I want to thank you for this singular privilege. I'll be giving a brief biography of the Registrar, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. Please, am I audible? Dr. Sir, can you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear, King David.
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Pharmacist Ibrahim Babashehu Ahmed, FPSN, FPC Farm, FNA Farm, FCI is a distinguished pharmacy regulator with vast experience in public service administration. He is recognized for his leadership driven by a fundamental focus on excellence and has demonstrated exceptional capacity in all assigned roles. He is a renowned hospital and administrative pharmacist. Farm Ahmed served in various hospitals across the country. He joined the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria in 2004 and has served in very key positions, which the last before his present position was the head of department planning, research, and statistics. He was also the pioneer zonal officer in charge of the PCN Abuja zonal office. He has been a staff of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria since 2004, and in 2022, in the month of June precisely, he assumed the role of the Registrar and Chief Executive Officer. This role he has held till date. Coming to PSN, Farm Ahmed has served the society meritoriously. He has been a council member and chairman of electoral committee during 2 annual national conferences where elections of the PSN president held. In fact, in our last PSN conference, our speaker was the chairman of the electoral committee and he delivered that role very well. He is a recipient of the Distinguished Service Award, an Excellent Service Award, and Appreciation Award from Association of Hospital and Administrative Pharmacists of Nigeria. He is also a distinguished figure in the health sector. He is a fellow of the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists, where he is a resource person, and he's also a preceptor for the Pharmacy Residency Program at PCN and a council member of the Regional Council for Health Professional Education. He is a fellow of Corporate Administration of Nigeria and has served as a resource person in their conferences. Fam Ahmed holds a master's in business administration and has attended many conferences, both locally and internationally. He has participated in FIP, World Congress, NAPSA conference, to mention a few. If this was a physical meeting, I know that by this time we would have been jamming our hands together for a man with such a huge portfolio. He has contributed to the development of national policies, such as the National Drug Distribution Guidelines, National Vaccine Policy, Snake Bite Policy, Human Resources for Health, and National Health Policy, among others, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Health. Interestingly, our speaker, who is a registrar, is currently pursuing an MSc in Supply Chain and Logistics Management at the Heriot-Watt University, Edinburgh Business School, United Kingdom, underscoring his passion for lifelong learning. Our speaker, pharmacist Ibrahim Babashehu Ahmed, is renowned as a pharmacist, a consultant, and administrator per excellence. Pharmacist Ibrahim Babashehu Ahmed continues to make impactful contributions to the pharmacy profession and healthcare administration. At this junction, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to introduce to us Pharmacist Ibrahim Babashehu Ahmed, FPSN, the Registrar, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Pharmacist King David. That was a comprehensive, brief citation of our guest speaker for tonight. Thank you very much. With that introduction, I'd like to yield the ground to our registrar pharmacist, Ibrahim Babashehu Ahmed, to start his presentation. Sir, please, you can start.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdulmumin Isa. Good evening, distinguished Professor Cecilia Iguilo, Professor Sodipo from University of Maiduguri, and other elders in the house, the chairman of CPAN, distinguished members of CPAN, fellow pharmacists. I'm very pleased to be at this program this evening for us to speak to ourselves on the topic that has been clearly put out by the moderator, which is institutionalizing pharmaceutical care standards, the regulatory imperative of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria in building patient confidence and public health equity. I would want to start by, though it's going to be an interactive program, I want to start by laying out the background, which I believe should guide our discussion. And I want to start by saying I consider it an honor. And of course, to me, it's also a profound sense of responsibility that I have the opportunity to engage you today as a guest speaker at this special clinical meeting of the Association of Clinical Pharmacists of Nigeria. Let me begin by celebrating the leadership of every member of CPAN. You have all along demonstrated commitment in driving the evolution of pharmaceutical care in Nigeria. The theme of this special clinical meeting is apt. Why is it apt? Because policies and regulations are key instruments that guide practice standards. Anything that is not guided by policy will just be one of those things you are doing that has no bearing, because it cannot be defended anywhere. Anything that is also not guided by regulation, of course, you can be rest assured you cannot defend it anywhere, and it cannot stand the test of time. And I think that is where the PCN is critical. So policies, like I said, and regulations are key instruments that drive practice standards. And of course, practice standards are put in place for purposes of safeguarding public health. Globally, healthcare systems are being stretched to their limits, challenged to do more for more people with fewer resources. Be that as it may, emotions does not drive change. Change must be properly, strategically planned, established, and driven for purposes of achieving results with evidence-based outcome. We must also expand our understanding of what pharmaceutical care truly entails. It's not about us talking to the patient. It does not begin and end with the patient. It does also not begin and end at clinical ward rounds or what we do in the hospital. To effectively deliver on the concept of pharmaceutical care, we must be mindful of the ecosystem we operate in and ensure that we connect with and make objective and positive contribution to what takes place in the boardroom. Because the product of the boardroom are what drive any system. And also, because we must recognize the fact that strategic decisions are made in the boardroom. And decisions also taken in the boardroom also also have a great role in what happens in regulatory spaces, where health policies are also crafted across supply chains. You must also be conscious of what happens within the pharmacovigilance system. And of course, very importantly, which is of course one of the things that we have lost sight of, the intricate practice of compounding. Each of these domains is essential, with each one a front line in the fight for equity, equality, and access to health. So we cannot just sit down and look at pharmaceutical care as something that just we do with the patient as clinical pharmacists. In the same way, like I said, we should be conscious of strengthening our capacity in pharmacovigilance, which is another critical but yet often under-celebrated pillar of pharmacy practice. In a country as diverse and complex as Nigeria, with its mixed genetic variations, widespread self-medication, and overstretched system, drug safety is not an optional. It is essential, and pharmacies are best positioned to detect, to report, and act on adverse drug events in real time, which of course is expected to feed into the national data system and in the end, saving lives. Colleagues, if we are truly committed to achieving universal health coverage, which is of course one of the things pharmaceutical care is expected to achieve, we must see ourselves not as supporting actors, but as central to the mission. Pharmaceutical care is not an add-on. Hello? Hello?
We can hear you,
Hello?
sir. Please.
Okay.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, pharmaceutical care is not an add-on. It is the cornerstone of healthcare. Whether you work in the hospital, or you work in a regulatory agency, or you work in the ministry, you are part of a greater movement that made healthcare safer, more affordable, and more equitable. It means that, like I said earlier, it's not just those playing at the at the face of interfacing, at the level of interfacing with patients, because the regulators set out the practice standards. The administrators roll out the policies. And if we are not at where these things are happening, you can be rest assured that you will be operating outside the approved norms. The Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, in this particular time, of course, have very crucial role in ensuring that pharmaceutical practices in the country are conducted safely, ethically, and effectively. The regulatory imperatives of the PCN in building patient confidence and enhancing public health safety is anchored on the following parameters: registration and licensing. Anywhere in the world, if a professional renders any service, rightly or wrongly, the fundamental question is that particular professional certified? That instrument of certification or licensure is itself a public health safety mechanism, telling the patient or the world that we have put out this person with whom we feel you are safe and for whom we take responsibility if anything goes wrong. But licenses and registration and licenses are also not just done. There are parameters that are put in place that an individual must meet up with. Regulatory standards, of course, there are parameters which are called minimum standards, which lay out clearly what is expected of every individual that has been licensed, below which one is not expected to perform, and within the bracket of which one is expected to deliver optimally. The regulatory standards are, of course, also are a product of extensive consultation, extensive research, extensive engagement. And once they are arrived at, there is also a process of its approval. Because it's not just crafted, within the whims and caprices of the fact that this is what I want. No, it must be subjected to evidence-based processes. It must be subjected to stakeholders' engagement. It must also be subjected to ensuring that what you are bringing in is consistent with what is universally acceptable. And very importantly too, it must be anchored on the part of continual professional development, because we are living within the scientific space where there is a lot of dynamism, a lot of improvement, a lot of development. And then critical is the fact that the licensing has been granted, or registration has been granted, license has been granted, processes have been put in place for capacity development through professional development. There must also be monitoring and inspection, because that is when you are not able to assess whether the output from that individual that you have put out to the public is like a check on yourself. It's like auditing, and it's a standard practice in regulation. And it is also a standard practice that, of course, speaks to anybody that whatever I say about this person can always be cross-checked from the report I have, because you can't be everywhere to be talking about what people are doing. very importantly too, is there must be complaint resolution mechanism. Importantly too, is the fact that even as a regulator, you must also work with other health organizations. It's not just your space as a pharmacist, and then we design whatever we want for pharmacy. No, because you're operating in an ecosystem. So effective engagement is also critical. And all these things eventually shape whatever plays out, whatever we cannot define as pharmaceutical care. And of course, that is what will stand out as equity. Because it's not about you, it's about collective responsibility. Very importantly, we also do research to guide policy development. And of course, we must also promote ethical standard, because it's not about us, it's about the safety of the people we serve. Through these regulatory imperatives, which I have listed out, which is not just done through administrative feats, as I've explained how these things are achieved or are being done. The Pharmacy Council of Nigeria aims to build patient confidence. Because how? If anything, like I say, if anything goes wrong, even if it is in the court of law, the first thing the person will be checked on is the person licensed? Is the person registered? Then perhaps they also check through the instruments that guide the person's practice. Is the person operating within these standards? Because it is believed that those standards are not just written. They go through a process of due diligence. And of course, it's supposed to be the hallmark of the fact that with you, the public has confidence. With you, the public is safe. And of course, with you, the public will get effective pharmaceutical services. And of course, all this will ultimately contribute to the overall health and well-being of the Nigerian population. By maintaining high standards in the practice of pharmacy, the PCN helps to foster a healthcare environment where patients can trust that they are receiving safe and effective care. As I close, I urge each one of us to think boldly, act collaboratively, not as individual or as individual groups, but must recognize that we play in a system and that each part of the system is interconnected. And any part of the system that does not want to connect will not be able to survive in the system. Because you cannot stand on that ground and expect the public court to be fair to you in its judgment. And with every intervention we make, every prescription we review, every formulation we compound, and every policy we help to shape, let us be clear. We are not just contributing to care. We are defining the future and, most importantly, the healthcare in Nigeria. I want to thank you very much. And I believe that this short remark, I hope it's short enough, has laid out the foundation for our discussion. Thank you very much. Over.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, our very distinguished registrar and speaker for tonight's clinical meeting. Pharmacist Quanta Roland speaking. Earlier on, Dr. Issa did introduce me as the co-moderator for the night. I want to specially say a very big thank you to you, sir, for this detailed explanation you have given.
Yeah.
Taking our minds back to the subject of discourse tonight, institutionalizing pharmaceutical care standards, the regulatory imperative of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria in building patient confidence and public health equity. Our registrar had just done justice to it, telling us of the regulatory imperatives of the PCN in building patient confidence and public health, he has told us, first, in promoting public safety, the PCN is responsible to ensure that pharmacists should have the requisite licensure to practice. He went further to explain that there are minimum standards of practice, and that for standards to have optimal delivery, practices must be subjected to evidence-based practices that are universally acceptable and must have stakeholders' engagements and should be anchored on continuous professional development. So he said it's not just about someone waking up to say, maybe as a result of administrative fiat, we will operate in this way and we operate in that way. No, there has to be standard of practices, and that these practices must be universally acceptable. It should engage other stakeholders in the health ecosystem, because we're not practicing in silos, and that these practices should be evidence-based. He went further to say that the practices should also be anchored on monitoring and evaluation processes so that performances could be audited. He said effective engagement is critical with other players in this ecosystem. And he said, finally, that our practices as professionals should be within ethical provisions. And so these are the basics expected of us as pharmacists, even as we engage in pharmaceutical care in our different practice spaces. Like Dr. Issa did mention in the intro, we're going to be having an interactive session. So it's not just about the registrar coming to speak, and we ask questions, but we just want to hear every pharmacist on the call out tonight concerning the subject of discourse. The registrar has laid the foundation of the regulatory imperatives of the PCN. So we would want each and every person on this call who has a concern concerning the subject of discourse to please indicate electronically. If you want to speak, you can just indicate electronically, you'll be called to speak. It's an interactive session. What do you have to say concerning this subject of discourse? And so the floor is open. Thank you very much. I'm looking at the chat box, yet to see any hand raised electronically. It's an interactive session, like I said outrightly. We would want to hear ourselves. Okay, fine. I have the national chairman, Dr. Maureen for the national chairman, Clinical Pharmacists Association of Nigeria. Dr. Maureen for your hand is up. Please, the floor is yours. You can speak. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Hope I'm audible.
Loud and clear.
Good evening, Chairman, National Chairman. Good evening. God bless you, ma.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm happy to be on this call tonight. I just want to use this opportunity to just give a brief speech to welcome everyone, especially our dear speaker, our able PCN Registrar, for being with us here tonight. All protocols duly observed. I would like to start by wishing us all a happy new month and happy Independence Day. Today is our Independence Day, 1st October. Your presence on a day like this is a testament of your zeal and commitment to the profession of pharmacy. I also recognize the presence of our elders our dear mommy, Professor Cecilia Igilo, here present. We appreciate you this night for being with us. Our dear IPC, Dr. Joseph Komadu, you are here too, and our former CPAN Secretary, Dr. Motiha Zulu Yawara. We appreciate your presence tonight. All the next members of CPAN present and all our members, we appreciate all of you. As we go on, we'll continue to recognize dignitaries who are here present. Let me at this time recognize all and appreciate our guest speaker once again, Pharmacist Ibrahim Babashehu Ahmed, Registrar of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria, and a recipient of the Special Ambassador of CPAN Award. We are aware of your time schedule and have learned a whole lot from you tonight. Thank you so much for the avalanche of knowledge and experience you made there to us tonight. Clinical pharmacists must chart a course for the profession. This can only be done by rubbing our ideas and minds together as we are doing tonight. Hence, this is the need for this conversation. We want to get it right. We want to know the limits of our pharmaceutical care in all the settings we are practicing as pharmacists. And tonight, is going to throw more light as we interact tonight. Let me also reiterate on the need for us to be active in our state and specialty groups. This will help us to build platoons for smaller and more efficient learning. I don't want to speak more, but on behalf of the NEC and Council of Clinical Pharmacists of Nigeria, I appreciate you all for coming around to celebrate with us and to listen to our dear registrar. Thank you all, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Chairman, Dr. Maureen Owafo.
Thank you. I have a question. Moderator, should I ask?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Our dear registrar, in order to understand that an operating, we should operate within the limits of our license.
Yes.
Okay. And there is a pharmaceutical standard within the area of your practice. So, you know, in pharmacy, we have different area of practice. Like I work in the hospital. So some of us work in the community setting, some in the academia. But let us start with where we really have issues. The reason why this meeting was scheduled, especially those pharmacists that work in the community setting. Hello? Pharmacists who work in the community setting. Okay? They really want to know the pharmaceutical care limits, their clinical practice limits in the community setting. Because knowledge is power, so that they will know their limits and boundaries. What our regulatory body wants from any community pharmacist who is practicing clinical pharmacy in such setting. Please, can you throw more light? Can you educate us so that we know what we are doing? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Earlier today, I had the opportunity of speaking to, because I was supposed to be in Edo State. Unfortunately, I cannot make it because I also have a commitment here in Owerri, that's Imo State, because of the PCN week, which is tomorrow. And what they wanted for me is to send in some message of what I can call to support their week. And of course, the topic of their week centered on Think Pharmacy, Think Health. Because irrespective of where we are as pharmacists, it is about health. And I think I spoke to a few things, which I believe is all encompassing, even for people in the community. when you talk about the scope of practice for pharmacists as it relates to what we talk about pharmaceutical care or clinical practice. In the community, we are expected to do medication management. We can help manage medications that for patients to understand their prescription, the potential side effects, as well as interaction with other drugs. We can do health screening. We can offer health screenings like high blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and diabetes to help in early detection, which can lead to better health outcomes. We can do health education because this can play a significant role in educating patients about various health topics, helping them make informed decisions about their health and wellness. We can support patients with chronic illnesses by providing essential support for individuals on how to manage their chronic diseases, offering advices on lifestyle changes and medication adherence. I could remember very well that my project for WAPCP, which was in 2004, has to do with medication and adherence in chronic ill patients and how it affects treatment outcomes. So that is one area that we can play in. We can also be sources of supply chain, sources of the health products by providing access. Even the access, the product you provide, ensuring that you have a good visibility of the supply chain and a good understanding of supply chain. It's itself a clinical service. It's a pharmacy-related service. Having customized patient care, wherein a patient comes in, maybe the patient requires a specialized medicine, maybe what we can call individualized medicine. You take the responsibility of your knowledge, of your capacity. You take advantage of your capacity and knowledge to prepare individualized medications and give. It's not about putting couch. And I think that is why you want him to say it. And that's why I'm also saying it clearly, in point blank. You can't put couch in pharmacy. You can't put bed in pharmacy. You can't administer drip in pharmacy. Those are outside. And it surprised me when we see this as that is what is pharmaceutical care. Those are not pharmaceutical care now. But these other things I have mentioned now, I don't see how anybody will say you are operating outside the boundary of a pharmacy. Are you with me? Are you with me? Hello? Hello?
We are with you, sir.
Sorry, go ahead.
Please go ahead,
with
sir.
you. We are with you. Go ahead, sir.
You can go ahead, sir.
We are with you, sir.
That's it. Omit and continue. Omit, sir, and continue. Omit.
Kindly unmute from your end and continue, sir.
Okay. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Let me give you an instance. A medical doctor who is undertaking surgery and the patient dies on that table. The doctor is covered because that is a procedure everybody knows could lead to death. And that is a procedure that the person has been licensed to undertake, not minding the end result of it. But within the pharmacy space, we know that anything could also happen because we are all healthcare professionals. And in the course of intervention, any kind of health-related intervention, anything could happen. But there are some levels of intervention that are very critical. that we must be able to put some boundaries to as professionals. And like I said, you can check it out everywhere. I don't think you can go to the US and see a pharmacy where you have beds and then patients are being laid there. In fact, even hospitals, they are in categories. There is what you call primary health care. If in a place where standards are working, at least I have led medical mission to Saudi Arabia about 10 times. And at the primary healthcare level, any condition that takes the patient to stay for more than 3 days is not allowed. Because the level of care at that level is not supposed to admit a patient more than that. So there is supposed to be what you can call graded level or levels of care. And we should be able to recognize that. Thank you very much. I don't know whether this explanation captures what
Thank
you are
you.
expecting of you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that response. I'm seeing two hands. Farm Law. I'm seeing your name as Farm Law. But before you speak, let me reiterate what our registrar had just said. Our national chairman did ask him what is the scope of practice in community pharmacy. In a community pharmacy, what should be the scope of practice? And he clearly stated that we could engage in medication management. It's quite acceptable. Health education to help patients or clients make informed decisions, quite acceptable. Counseling on medication adherence and lifestyle changes in chronic disease management, it's also acceptable. Health screening like high blood pressure, diabetes, of course, high blood sugar, cholesterol, so that you'll be able to detect early, permissible. Then optimize supply chain efficiency also. For individuals with customized medications, you could compound for individualized medicine, and that's also permissible. But please, we should not, emphatically, we should not find ourselves having a couch in our pharmacies. It's not acceptable. It is not within regulatory or ethical provisions. That was what he said. Pharmacist Law, the floor is yours, please. The conversation is becoming very
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moderator. The registrar, good evening, sir, and the district pharmacists in the house.
Good evening.
My question centers on the issue of our license. Sir, you have made mention about the license on the need for us to register. And for me, myself, I've registered since January. I've paid everything. But up to now, we are in October. We've entered October already. And the license is still saying on the platform of PCN that is being processed. Because the evidence, if there is an issue and there is need for us to present license, if we are registered this year or not, is the evidence, the physical one that will be required. I don't know why that of this year is being delayed. It wasn't like that last year. We want a little explanation on that, sir, on what is causing the delay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a question I like, because you have a responsibility to be served and served well and served rightly too. What I wouldn't know, because I can tell you I approve licenses every day, irrespective of whether it is weekend or working day, irrespective of whether I'm in Nigeria or I'm outside the office, not in Abuja. For I would have expected, if you have seen something like that, because there are so many reasons that could have led to that. One of which is compliance with MCPD status. Did you check with our office to find out? Did you also care to find out whether a letter was sent to you and which you didn't receive? Because there is no way, as I'm sitting and talking to you here, without knowing anybody, I have signed more than 11,000 licenses this year. And it's because they were processed that I signed them. if there is any reason, I will appreciate. We also have hotline, and you find it on our letterheaded paper. If you notice anything, any delay, put it on that, put a call to that hotline. It's a standard practice anywhere in the world. Every system has a way of checking with its structure whether something is going wrong. And that's the essence of hotline. We also have official email where you can put complaint channels are established because every human endeavor, there could be one issue or the other. There could be challenge. There is no perfection anywhere. But then you are supposed to explore the opportunities provided for you to make complaints. I think I will advise that when such things happen, please explore those opportunities, and as much as possible, I'm sure you'll be responded to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. If I may respond, ma.
Okay.
I've tried to use the website to send message where I was asked to put in my email address, and I did, and I made and I asked, what is delaying it? Up to now, I've not gotten any response, sir. Thank you, sir.
Actually, I just told you, I gave you the available channels of complaint. I didn't mention website to you. Website is not a place where we do regular interaction. In fact, website is a place that we update records. You could have used our email, either connect@pcn.gov.ng or pcnig@yahoo.ca, or you use our hotline. I didn't mention website.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You now email your complaints to pcn.gov.ng or pcnig@yahoo.ca. All right. Pharmacist Ibrahim Ali, I'm no longer seeing your hand. Your hand was up. You can ask a question. Are you still with us, Pharmacist Ibrahim Ali? Okay. Pharmacist Abubakar Abdul Karim, the floor is yours. You can ask your questions or make your comments or contributions. Thank you. Karim, unmute yourself and
hello, can you hear me? Please confirm if you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Yes, good evening, the registrar and other pharmacists on the call. Yes, my own is a brief question regarding the scope of practice that the registrar just mentioned for the community pharmacy. It's like someone is interrupting this thing.
Thanks from our ends.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, there was one project, Integrate E project, in collaboration with Society for Family Health and PCN, which was focused on tax shifting and tax sharing policy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, my question is, how far has been the implementation of the project? As in, because I was meant to understand that as part of the project was to improve maternal and neonatal child health, where the community pharmacists and patent medicine vendors were trained on how to render services as relates to maternal and neonatal child health, parts of which was the family planning services. So I want to confirm how far has the project went, because you made mention that as part of the scope of practice, a community pharmacy is not meant to have beds for admitting patients and other stuffs like that. So I want to understand whether if this project has been fully implemented, where community pharmacies can have just maybe one bed for rendering family planning services when it comes to the issue of implants and rest of that? That's my question. Thank you. Over.
Thank you very much. And I want to start from the end part of the question. Even at the ongoing project, which you say is centered on tax sharing and tax shifting policy, which of course is again is a concept approved by World Health Organization. Tax shifting, tax sharing. It didn't just start, it's not just a Nigerian thing, which of course we are piloting because it's still at the pilot stage. Even at this pilot stage, which of course will be what will transform into a policy proper, beds are not allowed in these facilities. Check the documents. Beds are not part, and that is why I told you it is an integrated approach. It's not just about PCN. It also, you will notice that even Ministry of Health are part of it. Federal Ministry of Health was the one that approved the tax shifting, tax sharing policy. That policy was approved by the National Council on Health. Who are the members of the National Council on Health? The whole commissioners of health and chaired by the Honorable Minister of Health, with Minister of State as the vice chairman, with head of agencies like us. All these things are usually subjected to deliberations. And I can assure you, one, that provision of bed is not part of what was approved for this particular project. In fact, if anything that is being considered or contemplated is having a kind of reclining chair for purposes of insert. And even that has not been concluded, as it were. Again, for purposes of information, the result of, because it started with 2 states, Kaduna and Lagos. It eventually increased to, I think, about 11 states. Now, the wider outcome is being collected, which will be subjected to stakeholders' engagement as to how good is the outcome before it is adopted as a policy. But I can assure you that we are currently in that on that part of finalizing the project. Thank you very much. Over.
Thank you very much. And I hope Farmer Abubakar that addressed your question. Pharmacist Abdul Rafiq Mohammed, you can ask your questions or make your comments. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, sir, and moderator.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, just to add to the previous question, I want to get a little bit clearer information on the issue of vaccine administration. That I think there is also a program, or let's say, the kind of project that is going to come up to. I don't know if it's already ongoing. That they are looking at vaccine administration to also get to more accessible, and so trying to consider community facilities, community pharmacies coming into that. So is one question anyway, if that is going to happen, are we seeing vaccine, injection administration is something that should also be considered the scope that is allowed by law in community pharmacies? That is what. This is more of like a comment. My other second part of my discussion, I don't know to what extent that organizations actually liaise with regulatory bodies as our own is PCN before they dish out their recruitment adverts. I know sometimes you see organizations bringing out some adverts and begin to mention things like BSc pharmacy or at putting entry level that's so ridiculous, maybe at level 7 or 8. So I don't know to what extent do they usually liaise with regulatory bodies before they, because down there, as part of the requirement, you see they will state that the person should be licensed by his professional body. And sometimes they even mention Pharmacy Board of Nigeria. You now begin to wonder if they really go to layers with the regulatory bodies. So in that sense, I feel organizations should be made to understand that the pharmacy profession is evolving, and things like PharmD should begin to surface in their job requirements and other things. And lastly, sir, I also want to ask if it is within the jurisdiction of regulatory councils to also include those that are being appointed as specialists also in their licensure. I know it's something that has been something that's to know about. So I think it's an opportunity for us to know now if it is something that's, I don't know if other councils, maybe the medical and dental council include that. I just want to actually use the opportunity to ask if it is something that is allowed, is something that is within the powers of PCN to do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Starting with the issue of immunization. Immunization in pharmacy, even in the United States of America, was anchored or was a development as a result of cutting challenges. And precisely in the America, I think it started when they had the problem of smallpox. And of course, expanding to diphtheria and toxin. The pharmacist involvement shifted from product distribution to direct administration in the 1990s. So in our own case, with the recent pandemic we had, I remember that through the primary healthcare, certain community pharmacists were designated. So usually when there is a challenge like a pandemic, it throws up challenge, it throws up opportunity for us to key into. One thing that is good out of this is that the pharmacy that were, community pharmacy that were engaged, they did a very good job. And it helped greatly in reducing the access to vaccination. We are currently building on that because that is evidence-based outcome. And we are now trying to look at how can we extend this without having to wait for another pandemic to maybe routine immunization. You don't just, even in the United States, it didn't start overnight. It started just in the 90s. And though one will say we are happy that pandemic happened, but the opportunity of pandemic also gave us an inroad into that particular space. And to the glory of God, our people did it very well. And personally, I have made presentations to National Primary Healthcare for them to take advantage of that opportunity we have. One, it will reduce logistics of vaccine distribution. You won't have to be, you won't have to be locating all the primary health cares in the nook and crannies. You have community pharmacies in the cities. I mean, people will have to travel far to get these things. So it's something that we are working on because we have reasons to work on it. And we have evidence to support our effort. With respect to the issue of licensure, yes, the PCN, of course, we have just appointed about 19 consultant pharmacists. We didn't just appoint them for nothing. We appointed them for a purpose, for responsibility. And those responsibility, of course, will be clearly defined. And those responsibility will be backed by authority. And the authority is the licensure. And that is the authority that actually put the person out. So the issue of licensing the consultants is something that PCN is already on the part of getting done. Of course, you don't just issue these licenses, I mean, in the air. There must be a clearly defined roles and responsibilities, which, of course, the PCN will take responsibility on. Let me give you an example. We did enforcement last year in Rivers State. And shortly after the enforcement, we had a community pharmacy. Well, it's supposed to be a wholesale pharmacy where a patient was being treated for asthma. And in the course of treating the patient died. And the patient was also a lawyer. The simple thing the Commissioner of Health did as beginning of the investigation was to write to me. And that is why you can see why in issuing licenses, we must be definitive. When we are defining scope, it must be something that is universally acceptable and standard. I just told him, yes, it's a premises we have licensed. They will license it for wholesale practice. So what the person has done is outside the scope of practice for which the license was granted. So these things come with some legal responsibilities or legal burdens. And that is why we will definitely come up with licenses, and those licenses will have clearly defined responsibilities, which we will take responsibility for, because we believe that is what the Constitution has set us to do. It's not because we want to do it, we are just doing it for sake of doing it. I mean, these institutions were not just created because we have to be created. No, even the Constitution has made provision, has seen the need for these institutions to be created. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Pharmacist Mohammed, I hope that answers your questions.
No, excuse me, I left one question.
Yes, sir.
Where he talked about some adverts coming out with different qualifications.
Yes.
Now let me put it this way. When the advert lists qualifications, but eventually comes down, I mean, get to the bottom and say the place must be, the institution, I mean, the professional must be licensed. I mean, it has answered all the questions. And that is what I want to put on record here. The person with BSc Pharmacy remains a pharmacist. The person with Bachelor of Pharmacy remains a pharmacist. It's not just those with PharmD. And this is what we must get right. When I graduated as a pharmacist, I started working in Niger State. I mean, the director of pharmaceutical services, Mr. Barnabas, was having a diploma, and he still had his license until he passed on. So, we must recognize the evolution of the qualification. We had people who had chemists. If they still live today, nobody will say until they upgrade to PharmD, they are not pharmacists. They are pharmacists. We have people with diploma. In fact, when I go to ABU, we were the second set of Bachelor of Pharmacy. We met people doing BSc Pharmacy, and they were not less pharmacists. They were pharmacists. So, yes, we are in the process of transition. All our universities now are running PharmD, and that is where we are getting to. But that does not make people without PharmD less pharmacists. If anybody comes to that standard, tell that person that I said, or the Pharmacy Council said, is not right. It's globally not right. Then what will you call pharmacists coming from the United Kingdom? After all, the United Kingdom even colonized Nigeria. Today, they have highest qualification. They started with B Farm. They are now on M Farm. They haven't even transited to PharmD. Are they less pharmacists? I think they are not. Let's get this right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Said, applying that for different professionals. For instance.
Hello, sorry, I'm not getting it clearly. Hello? Hello,
Yes,
not clear.
Mrs. Quanto, I cannot hear you clearly.
Really? Can you? Is it better
Not,
now?
yes,
It's
it is.
better
Thank
now.
you.
So I was trying if a job of you see
Sorry, we can't hear. I can't hear.
field, for instance,
I think you have network challenge.
Yes, the network.
is it better now? Better?
Anytime you stop and say it's better, it comes clearer. Is it that
Okay,
you
so
are changing position?
I just changed position. You still can't hear me?
I can hear you better now.
I was trying to explain if this material under medicine.
Sorry, we can't hear. I can't get it. I can't get it. Sorry. Can you put it in chat box so that somebody can read it out?
All right. So, pharmacist Nur, you can now ask your questions on pharmacist Nuruddin Usman.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I can hear you. Am I audible enough?
Very, very well.
Thank you very much. So let me start by especially welcoming and thanking the registrar for this great opportunity and this very wonderful presentation. Let me start this way. I am happy the way the registrar enumerated the scope, especially regarding community pharmacy. And I think that has clarified a lot of things. And looking at what the registrar has enumerated from the beginning to the end as the scope of clinical practice, I don't think if there is any possible counter to what the registrar has said. Because from the point of medication review to medication management services, especially for chronic disease conditions, to some simple screenings regarding some also a very important chronic disease conditions such as diabetes, hypertension, asthma, and the rest of them. More importantly, the registrar made mention of using some, in fact, indirectly talking about some simple invasive procedures, which I know in the past the PCN is averse to that, but with time the PCN has accepted that, especially with the evolution of with more recognition, because I believe the community pharmacists are being recognized day in, day out, just like what the registrar said, that they are still building on the recognition for the immunization. Somehow, point of care, part of it is point of care testing, which normally the registrar used the word screening. Of course, everybody knows that when you see anyone going for any investigation, especially for chronic disease condition, unless if the person has been originally diagnosed, that could then whatever is happening in community pharmacy could be monitoring for safety, monitoring for effectiveness, or monitoring for good therapeutic outcomes. These are all some of the bone of contentions. And the registrars, I would like to tell you that some of these things you have mentioned, from the product aspect and to the clinical aspect, a lot of pharmacists are averse to that. I don't know, sometimes we attribute that to the context of the fact that some pharmacists have not updated their knowledge and skills to the point of being able to do some of this medication therapy management. So therefore, they feel it should not be a part and parcel of the practice of pharmacy. So they are trying to push back the expansion of role and the evolution. However, I also want to emphasize what the registrar has said about the presence of couch and the use of infusion. I think everybody will agree 100% with the registrar that use of couch for the purpose of admission, because the admitting patient in this kind of in a place called community pharmacy, nobody will ever argue with PCN about that. And of course, use of infusion drips is something that everybody must agree with the registrar that it's actually not correct. Now, I think one of the reasons people have raised concern about this, I think if my memory serves me well, is that when there was a time I was following up a debate in one of the platforms, I cannot vividly remember, when the PCN team of enforcement visited one of the states, I think is around the South. One of the forms that was filled on the penalty in a particular pharmacy, and possibly the pharmacy, if I can remember, was locked up, it was clearly written that the pharmacy was closed down or was prosecuted as a result of carrying out clinical activities. Now, that is where the problem came. The word clinical that was inscripted on the form, I understand some of the forms could be old forms that have not been updated. But the understanding of a typical clinical pharmacist, anytime you use the word clinical, it generalizes. What the registrar has said about drug therapy management, screening, monitoring effectiveness are all clinical, because from the definition, right from the definition to the explanation of pharmaceutical care, definite outcomes, responsible provision of drug therapy, and the rest of them, they all cycle around clinical. And the moment we use clinical word, we are talking about anywhere patient, regardless of whether the patient is admitted or not. So I think a lot of people were raising concern as to what is the specific definition of that word clinical on that particular form. From what the registrar is explaining on this platform, I want to believe we all will understand that and get to a conclusion that that clinical on that particular form is referring to the use of couch and possibly infusion. Because I know, in fact, some patent medicine can even get to the point of even infusing blood. And everybody knows that's not correct. So maybe, I don't know, this is my own understanding. Maybe the registrar is going to shed more light on this to possibly clarify. However, in the event that this is exactly what my assumption is correct, the use of couch infusion and other very serious invasive procedures is what is referred to as clinical, maybe I will advise possibly the form can be, that particular wording can be paraphrased to be able to describe exactly what it is that the pharmacy has been prosecuted for. This one part. Now, the second part is, I don't know if the PCN has a plan to actually let me use the word upgrade, or let me say modify the write-up on the licenses being issued to pharmacists, so that the license can actually capture some of the evolution, or some of the evolutions the registrar has alluded to. We all agree that from the time pharmacy started, let me be specific to Nigeria, from the apothecaries to the dispensers to the druggists and chemists to the pharmacists, and of course today to the doctors of pharmacy. I believe all these things have evolved as a result of expansion of role. And it is very common to see on many platforms, anybody raising certain issues, especially regarding drug therapy management review and drug therapy management services. People will be asking the question, are you licensed to do that? You are not supposed to do that. I am not referring to use of couch or use of invasive procedures. Some simple review. The moment somebody talks about it, including this point of care testing, a lot of people don't even want to hear point of care testing, including use of ordinary glucometer, which an ordinary community practitioner, JQ or junior community practitioner can do. And in fact, the patient that is suffering from diabetes usually learn that and be doing it at home. So I don't know if there's any plan to modify the license to include additional functions that the expansion has come with. So I think let me just stop here. Thank you very much, the registrar.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this extensive discussion. And let me be also straightforward to you, with you. After that enforcement, the national chairman, Dr. Wafo, because we are discussing, it's a family discussion, she actually called me to really ask the import of that particular clause, because she represents the face and the body of clinical pharmacists, and she must, of course, convey the concern of members, and she truly did. So I think you need to appreciate her. But when she got to me, I told her, at least I was head of registration and licensing in the Pharmacy Council from 2004 up to 2009. Check your licenses at those periods. The word pharmaceutical care didn't appear. When I became the head of the Department for Registration and Licensing, check the certificates of registration that were issued 2003, 2000 downward. The license was carrying license to practice as a pharmaceutical chemist. I crafted appropriate memo to the Law and Ethics Committee of Council, why we cannot continue to call it pharmaceutical chemist. And then it was changed to license as a pharmacist. When she asked me that question, this same explanation you gave, that was what I told her. I'm happy she's on this platform. I told her, does your license carry pharmaceutical care? It now carries pharmaceutical care. Can we, within the scope of definition of pharmaceutical care, let me tell you, these things, like I said, that is regulation. It has a lot of legal implication. Even in the court of law, it's not about what you have written down and putting etc. because everything cannot be on the license. We must get that right.
Yes.
Does the word pharmaceutical care cover those things? If it does, so fine. And of course, like you said, everything we have talked about to the point of care testing, they are capturing pharmaceutical care.
Yes.
And it's already in the license.
Okay.
Now, you can also go and check, because these things have legal meaning. What is clinical practice? Check it. It's not about what I feel it is right or what you feel is right. It's what, because that is why the judges call themselves learned people. I mean, they don't need to be your field. They rely on what is universally acceptable terminology or definition. So, and that is exactly what the definition will be. Let me tell you, if you look at the body of the Pharmacy Council law, everything will tell you that it is about GPPP, good pharmacy practice. Now, I have just opened Google and I said, what is clinical practice? It's a clinical practice referred to the real world application of learning skills and knowledge by professionals in their respective fields, often in a supervised setting, and also encompassing the ethical and scientific quality standards governing specific practice, such as good clinical practice for clinical trials. You can't be talking in our own setting as a pharmacy, we'll be talking of good pharmacy practice. Check the definition of good pharmacy practice. You'll see in it there, pharmaceutical care is embedded. But if you pick the word clinical, you will see pharmaceutical care clearly. You know, you have to be very specific. You must avoid ambiguous use of terminology that, will only satisfy one's curiosity or one's interest. That's exactly what I want to say here. I told the chairman, sorry, Dr. Maureen, you didn't have pharmaceutical care in your license. We saw the need to bring it in. In fact, if you notice for those in the hospital, procurement was not in your license before. We observed that pharmacies are being excluded. We decided to put it. These are things that we are conscious. If you have any idea, you send it to us. But be rest assured that we will not take it based on sentiment or emotion. We will subject it to standard evaluation and engagement. Counseling was not in your license before. Counseling is now there. So if you have ideas, bring them up. But I can tell you that we will not just take it up. I see some of those arguments coming up on the platform. You see, we as much as possible, I also like counter argument that come up because it's not just a one way of thinking. There are others who are also checkmating. I don't want to call them excesses, but some of us who are trying to shift from who we are, we must be proud to say I'm a pharmacist. We must be proud. That is what I keep saying. And I keep telling everybody, why am I proud to be a pharmacist? I say, go to ABU, check my form. My first choice was pharmacy. My second choice was pharmacy. My third choice was pharmacy. In fact, I was called back that nobody does something like this, that I must change the third one. Because if I don't get pharmacy, they will give you another. I now change the third one to biochemistry. We are pharmacists. And pharmacy is, I think, is of pride.
Oh.
Let's take it as it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my registrar.
Can you hear me clearer now?
Yes, I think the registrar has actually clarified because the concern when the whole thing was raised was the fact that majority of what the registrar has mentioned as the scope, the thinking of those who felt the use of clinical as the reason why that pharmacy was penalized, thought that everything the registrar said about managing services, review of medication, screening, and all of them are clinical. So once they say he was penalized for clinicals, that means he was caught possibly checking blood glucose or something. But this has actually clarified significantly.
All right,
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much, Mrs. Nuruddin Usman. Sir, our distinguished speaker for tonight. Before I ask Dr. Joseph Madu, whose hand has been up, to make his comments or ask his questions, I still want to ask further questions based on what you just addressed. I just need a bit more clarity on it because, you know, the questions have been coming and we do not have the right answers, and you are here to give us hand information. Now, looking at Google again, to impute clinical practice, what does it mean? The same Google is telling me here that clinical practice encompasses direct patient care oversight, and clinical education within healthcare settings. The worry of the community pharmacist, I'm an administrative pharmacist. Currently, the worry of the community pharmacist is that community pharmacy is a primary health setting. And so as a primary health setting, it is now an offense to carry out clinical practice as even described by Google to be practices encompassing patient care, patient oversight, and clinical education. Then there's a problem. Now, looking again at Google, what is clinical practice in pharmacy? It's explaining it to be the part of pharmacy focused on providing direct patient care, optimize medication therapy, and promote patient health, wellness, and disease prevention. Sorry for taking you back again, sir.
No problem.
So people who really want much clarity on this subject,
Yeah.
if a pharmacy is now saying, community pharmacist is now saying that it's an offense for me to have or provide direct patient care, I think more on it. How do we optimize medication therapy without providing care to this patient if it's an offense? I think I'll
Okay.
need more.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't want to use the word circumlocution. I remember when Professor Babudo was a lecturer in ABU, he likes that using that word. You see, I look at this more. I mean, okay, is nursing care a clinical service or not? It is, isn't it? Hello?
Yes, yes, sir.
Nursing care is a clinical service, and they are confident to call it nursing care. Pharmaceutical care is a clinical service. Why can't we be confident to call it pharmaceutical care? Medical services is a clinical care, and they are confident to call it. Why are we trying to run away from that? Pharmaceutical care embodies all these things, and yet we are not satisfied with it. Why are we not satisfied with it? Is there anything within the bracket of pharmaceutical care that is not within these things that you have defined now? This is what is specific to pharmacy, up to the point of even making specialized medicines, which you can see in the broader clinical practice definition. I mean, again, let's come back. We are pharmacists. If the nurses are happy to use the word nursing care, and if nursing care embodies everything they do, and if pharmaceutical care embodies what we do, even beyond what clinical pharmacy, because clinical practice, there's no way Google will tell you to prepare medication. It's only in pharmaceutical care. I mean, why can't we stick with what is ours and be unique in our role? That is my own. If you still have other argument, it's not about me. It's about the institution, and this it's a body that, or it's a structure. I mean, it's structured to have various constituencies, and be rest assured that each constituency is going to look at issues not from point of emotion, not from point of sentiment, but from point of what is defensible, and from point of, because I mean, emotion does not drive monopoly at all. Everything will be subjected and will be put on the balance, and different constituencies will look at it. It's not just a one direction kind of thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that we should be proud to embrace pharmaceutical care. If from what you have explained, I think all that you have explained falls within the purview of pharmaceutical care, like you rightly stated, and we should be proud to embrace pharmaceutical care as pharmacists. That's the context you are, having it, and it's fine. Thank you very much, sir. So, Doctor, the immediate past national chairman of the Clinical Pharmacists Association of Nigeria, Dr. Joseph Madu. Sorry for keeping you waiting for so long. Please, the floor is yours now.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Please, am I audible enough?
Very audible, Dr. Madu.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I've been patiently listening to our registrar, and I'm so happy. And he's talking like a consultant clinical pharmacist. That's the way he has been talking. And I kept on wondering what is happening. Are some pharmacists disconnected with what we have and with what the PCN has? So I thank you so much. And most importantly, I'm so happy when you said, if anyone has any good idea or any important thing, the person can send it. Of course, not just this night, but we can also always write maybe some position paper and give to PCN and say maybe this is what we think or what CPAN is contributing. And I know that this is also maybe what people like people in the US and even in UK. In UK, when you read about UK Clinical Pharmacy Association, you will learn that they are the forefront of advancing practice in the UK. When you also go to US, you also see that American College of Clinical Pharmacy is at the forefront. They are highly recognized and they are highly used by their regulatory bodies. And I'm happy our registrar has said this. I know it will open the way for us to always also chip in something. Mr. Registrar, sir, please, I want to remind PCN about. I heard when you are talking about the evolution of pharmacy from pharmaceutical chemists, from all those things. I know all those levels, but I know now that you have even agreed our license is coming as pharmacists. We are no longer in the era of pharmaceutical chemists, but our poisons book is still carrying pharmaceutical chemists. I want to advise or remind PCN that there is need for this change in language. And like Dr. Nuruddin said before now, and some other persons also said, when you look at our license, sir, I heard you saying pharmaceutical care is on our license. Maybe I've not really checked, because I know that if pharmaceutical care is on our license, we don't even need to ask anybody to tell us about clinical practice or any other thing. Once we have it, we know it covers everything the pharmacist does in modern day times. So maybe I've not really checked my license, because I also wanted to suggest that this night that let pharmaceutical care be on the license. If it is really captured, maybe I have not really my license very well this year, but I know that what they gave me was what do you call it, probation, about 3 months something. That's the one I saw this year. So if pharmaceutical care has been captured, I think it calls for celebration, because that's what I know has encompassed all that we are saying. And if that has really been captured too, the pharmacists that feel that we are not supposed to do this or that, the pharmacists don't want to hear anything. Clinical pharmacy. In fact, they'll say you people are not even recognized, you're just wasting your time. So they are not happy. And let me just give us example. We did training, WPCP did training recently in collaboration with CPAN in Edo State. And some persons were complaining. In fact, the young man was complaining that people came to his pharmacy and they wanted to arrest him for doing sugar test, that's glucose monitoring. Though we told him that nobody, as long as, because globally pharmacists are now doing point of care tests. And though you are not permitted, we told him, it's not permitted to put up a signboard that he is now doing laboratory tests or whatever. But if you have a patient, you document it very well, and you write the type of test you have done. You may even refer for further tests, of care tests and further tests. You have the name of your patient, everything, even complaints sometimes when you're managing chronic conditions. We told him nobody can arrest him. Even if the person arrests him, the judge in the court will flee him. Will free him. So, sir, I want to say in summary that I'm thanking you. If pharmaceutical care is already captured in our license, but maybe if you're speaking your mind and it's not already there, maybe it needs to be cross-checked again. If it's not there, I believe and I know that you make it to be captured, pharmaceutical care on our license. I don't know if I've made some points, but thank you so much, sir, for being our guest tonight. We appreciate.
Thank you very much, Dr. Madu. No, it's not there.
Want to respond to that?
Yeah, with respect to the issue of a poison book, I mean, I'm sure maybe you are using the old poison book. I hope you know that what we have as poison book now, which used to be called Form K, is no longer Form K. We now call it, we have from K1, K2, K3, and K4. And they are called Controlled Medicines Register. It was designed in collaboration with United States, UNODC, United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, UNODC. And we did it jointly, like I said, even with NAFDAC was part of it. NDLA was part of it. Before we all agree. In fact, PMGMA was part of it. Association of Pharmaceutical Importers were part of it. So, because we observed that what we had as a poison book was not really meeting the data requirement for different practice settings. What you need to record for somebody in the hospital is different from what you need to record for somebody. Somebody in manufacturing is talking about weighing raw materials. Somebody in importation is talking about weighing these drugs in kilograms or cartons. So that is why we had to redesign based on the peculiarity of different settings. So I'm sure you are not using the new Form K. I don't know now, I won't even call it Form K. Which of the Form K? Because it could be K1, K2, K3, and K4. I think K4 is supposed to be for manufacturers. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. We can look at if comments there before the next. You are the last person to ask a question or make a comment before
Moderator, can I, this is Professor Iguilo, can I just appreciate the registrar?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay,
Registrar, thank you so much for your time and all that you have downloaded and given us the, basics. We appreciate you at every point in time.
Thank you,
and I want to encourage all of us to ensure that we'll, fall in line with the good dispensing practice and good pharmacy practice, good manufacturing practice. That just to maintain the standards that are acceptable. I think there was a time, was it sometime this year, I learned of a pharmacist that, was it injection that the pharmacist gave and somebody passed on, and then there was this issue. I don't even know how that, played out. But I believe that those that are licensed, because I know that ACPN have been training people on immunization and also injection, giving injections. We need to make sure that we imbibe, the international standards in every form of in our practices in every area of pharmacy practice. And with that, I know that we'll be, measuring up, and we'll be able to, especially those that had gone through the program of WPCP and they've been appointed as consultants in their various areas of where they are working. They have to make sure that they give back to the system and even improve on what they met on ground. With that, I don't think there will be any debate about pharmacists are not this or pharmacists are not that. So we appreciate you. Thank you for being there, and thank you for regulating everyone. Thank you for guiding and directing, the pathway to go. And we thank you for the clinical component that have been included. in the license. I think we also consider what Dr. Madu mentioned about pharmaceutical care. I don't know if it's there. Thank you for my license. I even forgot to say thank you. No, we don't pay now. We are senior citizens.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you.
So
God
God
bless you,
bless you,
ma'am.
every one of us. The Lord bless you. Well done, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I'm just looking at the license of a hostel in my front now. I say that so applied to be registered and was on Tuesday, March 18, 2024, duly registered for the purpose of mixing, compounding, preparing, dispensing, procuring of drugs and poison, counseling, and pharmaceutical care in accordance with the provision of Pharmacy Council of Nigeria Establishment Act. This is for a hostel pharmacy.
Okay.
This is for a hostel
Okay.
pharmacy. So maybe if there's need for us, I know that if you go to manufacturing, you won't see that. If you go to wholesale,
Okay.
the wordings are not the same. So if there is need for us to also, because I just have that of hostel in front of me now. If there is need to update, but I can assure you that whatever we are going to put will not be something that is going to be too ambiguous. So something that is going to be pharmacy specific.
So I also think that the community may also require that, because they also
It's okay.
the community pharmacy practitioners, they
It's
may
okay.
require that to be part of their license.
It's okay, man.
I also want
okay.
to thank the CPAN for this program. I don't know whether I have stumbled on this kind of program before among any of our groups. I really appreciate them bringing the registrar to explain many things to us. The Lord bless you all. Thank you for the leadership.
Thank
God
you,
bless you all. Good night.
We appreciate
Good night, man.
Thank you, Prof. Okay, over to President Peter. Briefly, please. Thank you.
Yes. Let me also add, please, moderator, that the next person that's going to speak should not take more than a minute. This is 10:30, so we've spent 2 hours. I want to close by now. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Good evening, Registrar. Good evening, everyone, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So, I want to ask a question on behalf of, though I stand to be corrected if my question goes wrong. I want to ask on behalf of the students and the newly graduated and even the final year students and the newly inducted students. So I want to ask about how the internship placement, if there is any way this internship placement can be made in an organized way, that once you are once you have been well inducted with giving some of the license, that all those registered sites that are there for internship placement, is there a way that it can be made well organized, that once you are inducted, the list will come, and if you're opportune enough to click like the site, you can be automatically taken without it being so scattered that once you are looking for here and there to see if you can get some of my colleagues that are graduated even last 5 years have not got internship placements. So I want to ask, if is there a way that PCN can make this to be well organized, that once you are inducted, you can actually get internship placement, since it's also a learning process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The issue of internship, to say that somebody has waited 5 years, I'm sure that person does not want to do internship. I know there are challenges with placement. I don't think it can be that bad. And I want to give us the good news that the Honorable Minister of Health is currently, in fact, not that is currently, has mandated us registrars to come up outside apart from Medical and Dental Council, because they already have their own central placement, has mandated us to draft for him a memo that he will take to Federal Executive Council, where mobilization for interns will be done automatically. We'll only provide a list of those we induct, and then we'll take responsibility for distribution to the sites. Of course, we will provide the site, and then people will be at liberty to choose the site they want. We have done that memo for him. And in doing that memo, he invited the committee of CMDs and MDs of hospitals to be part of the drafting of that memo. Since they are going to be part of the people, I mean, they are going to be the off-takers of the interns. I recall in that meeting, we had some back and forth. They didn't like it initially because they say that even that of MGCN is somehow not, it's not going the way they wanted it. And they also try to provide reasons why internship placement, I mean, that it's not done anywhere in the world except for residency. But I think because we have, we also, they say two good sales are better than one. We also have our thinking cap upstairs. We made them realize that if what was happening in MDCN is not what you expect, it could have also been because what is being done now was not done at the time of commencement of that. There was no engagement as to the different roles and responsibilities that everybody would play. It was not open for people to know that this. I'm in the know. I contributed to its development, and I also participated in providing guidance on how it should be done or implemented. Now you have opportunity. So let's put behind what has happened in the past and use this opportunity to look at what are the deficiencies. Of course, something must start from somewhere. The person who had the first PhD was not taught by a PhD person. So they said it was not done, it's not done anywhere. I said, look, you don't generalize things like that. I made them realize, I said, the minister, you have told us here before in our meeting of what this country is doing for each and every one of us that we don't even appreciate. You once told us that it's difficult for anybody to graduate as a medical doctor from the United States of America without having to owe some money to pay back, sometimes as high as $20,000. You also told us that for somebody to graduate as a pharmacist in those countries, you are likely to have some money to pay back, sometimes as high as $18,000. We all graduate from these universities in Nigeria without having any money to pay back, other than transport money that we used to go back home. That is their problem. This is our problem. We must domesticate our problem and find solutions to it. And if you are saying it is not right, I mean, you are not comfortable with it because it's not going well. I say, let me tell you, NYC started in 1973. Anybody that is a keen follower of the development in National Assembly made effort to scrap NYC or made it voluntary last year. But on the overall interest, as long as the scheme has been on, it's not free of its problem. But on the long run, the country saw the need to continue with it, even if they had to improve on certain things. Because the day we stop NYC, and then we graduate 10,000 people who will just go to their house without having opportunity to even go out and earn something little. That is the day we know we are sitting on time bomb. So, after all this argument, we all agreed, and they participated in developing that memo with us, which we have given to the minister. The minister told us that because we did it this year, I think we did it in February. He said the budget had been signed. We have provided a forecast, the number of universities we have, the average number of expected people to be inducted, the basic amount, I mean, what is supposed to be the salary of an average intern. And we have calculated, we have done annual budget estimate, and we have also forecasted for 5 years. And the minister is expected to present it at the Federal Executive Council meeting for approval. So this is where we are. We recognize that there is a problem, And I'm happy that the minister has come to our aid. I just pray that we go through with this. I think if it goes through, finally, I'm sure it's going to be a thing of the past. I also need to use this opportunity, if there is no any other issue again. Some people have been talking about veterinary pharmacy. Veterinary pharmacy, of course, remains within the purview of the PCN for regulation. Because I remember I was in FIP when I got one social media report from a former dean of one of the faculties of pharmacy, expressing worry that some people are saying that the issue has been taken to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court has ruled. No, it's not true. Let us not be informed that veterinary pharmacy practice, stocking, handling, distribution of veterinary products remains under the control and regulation of the Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the last two comments.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. The night is well spent, and we've had quite an exhaustive time. A very informative, very educative as well. I'll just run through some of the questions, so you'll just handle all of that without taking so much time to go through one after the other. First, it's about the supply chain, how the supply chain is regulated, and the responsibility of PCN in regulating, or what is the PCN doing regarding open markets in Nigeria. Then someone asked about, is it within ethical provisions to carry out a point of care test like that of malaria and treat in the pharmacy, or if a patient comes with a result from a laboratory, can such patient be treated in the pharmacy? Another person talked about having CME points from trainings and conferences, and not just from the PCN MCPD trainings. Another person talked about what the PCN is doing concerning the accreditation of consultancy cadre and retirement age of consultant pharmacists. Let's just do this at once so we can wrap up for the night, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I said I'll be brief to some of these questions. With respect to the issue of open drug market, it's a point that I've seen being extensively discussed on the CPAN platform. And I think it's because people don't have information. That is why we talk the way we talk. People also talk about the existence of PPNVs. And it's because we don't have information. I think that is why we talk the way we talk. I hope we all remember what happened not too long ago when Professor Akwili attempted to close on the market. Where we are today, we have gone millions of miles away from that. We have come to a position where we have engaged these stakeholders and we have clearly put timelines for the permanent closure of open drug market. It has never happened in the history of Nigeria. I can tell you that as at 15th of this month, I get regular updates on what each of these markets are doing with respect to their relocation. Pictorial evidence for the relocation of this market to the coordinated wholesale center. If it were to be a live program, I would have projected what is going on in Anambra, in Oba. I would have projected what is going on in Idumota, Ijora, where we are moving Idumota to. So please be rest assured that we are on the path of solving this problem once and for all. We have closed Kano market. It's not happening anywhere in the world where you have people selling medicine and another. But how did we get here? It's not the failure of the Pharmacy Council, like everybody will say. We had a system of regulating patent and proprietary medicine vendors which dated back to 1936. Maybe because it was done in the colonial era, they they gave the authority to regulate or to license in the office of the minister. And then we had ministers who have delegated this responsibility the way they like, up to a point that we had Minister Ransom Kuti who delegated this thing to local government. And each time it failed, they will bring it back to PCN. Okay, PCN clean it up. Of course, the stakeholders will go to court. As at 2017, we are going to court in 47 different locations. If anything, that came with the APC government of 2015, the first phase they came with of trying to sanitize everything, what they did in the judiciary helped us to win all those cases, because the judiciary at that time had to sit up, because they also had a vice president who was a senior advocate. They had to look at all these cases, consolidate them, and that paved the way to what we are doing now. That was also one of the bases of reforming. In fact, we had also a minister who was cooperative, Professor Adewale, a medical doctor, who proposed the need to repeal that law and give back that authority in the hand of the Pharmacy Council. But as at time those markets were established, it was in the era of anything goes. They were not under the purview of the PCN. Let us get it right. It was not the PCN fault. It was a failure of the system at the national level. We're happy that has been resolved. Going forward, by the special grace of God, for the next 100 years, as long as we live and the country exists, the PPNVA is no longer under the hand of anybody to be delegated. It's going to be continuously in there. This authority came to us finally in 2022, just 3 years back, to right the wrongs of over 70 years. It's a big challenge. So let's appreciate it. With respect to acquiring MCPD point, if you check our MCPD guideline, it gives provision for you to acquire point outside what PCN organizes. And the method of acquiring point, ACPN, anytime they organize programs, they acquire points. Happy, they acquire point. Please ask questions. Write, you have a program where you want members to have. We send people there to assess that program. And we'll definitely grant points to you. The other question is about accreditation of consultant pharmacists. That is already given. If PCN can appoint consultant pharmacists, then we should be ready to accredit. We should be able to give them responsibility. We are also ready to give them license. And certainly that will be done. Point of care testing, like you talk about malaria testing. I mean, it's a WHO standard. Let me tell you, this memo came to National Council on Health way back in 2014 in Akwa Ibom, where WHO sponsored a memo recognizing that over-the-counter medicines are now to be sold. I mean, included, and up till now, antimetal lumefantrine, which are drugs for the treatment of malaria, and recognizing the fact that the WHO resolution is that no person should be treated with malaria without RDT. They now brought a memo to council requesting council to mandate PCN to accept that. And I mean, it didn't even start from us. This is a WHO memo to the government, to the Council of National Council on Health in Akwa Ibom, 2014. It was taken. So how can pharmacy not even do point of care testing if the memo of WHO was even advocating that PPNV should be allowed to do it, because they are allowed, is part of what they are supposed to say. Now, on the aspect of somebody bringing laboratory tests, the question I want to ask, are you also sure of the credibility of that lab result? Let's be very careful. It shouldn't just be any lab result. And of course, I cannot mention laboratories, but we all know there are laboratories. Somebody should not just walk into you and say, this is laboratory result, I need medicine. Let's be very careful. Thank you very much.
Age.
Of course, in the malaria, diagnosis of malaria, it's not the microscopy, it's the RDT. Let me also be specific.
Yes, sir.
And of course, we are not also supposed to do things like culture and sensitivity.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse, sir.
Are you also aware
Yes, sir.
that because I've also seen this comment on the platform of SIPA, issue of pharmaceutical technology. I hope you know that issue has been put to rest. So I'm just giving us information. It's an issue that has been on for 23 years for no fault of PCN. NBT woke up and started training people from Polytechnic. And I knew that, God forgive me, some people are behind this thing. It was a target to weaken the pharmacy profession. But we have successfully handled that and resolved it through the instrumentality of the Office of the Honorable Minister of Health to the Honorable Minister of Education. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Response questions, but you left out one, maybe you forgot the retirement age of consultant pharmacists.
Well, that is purely an establishment matter, because I remember I was at the National Council on Health, National Council on Establishment in Yola, Adamawa in 2022, and it also came up in 2023. But I can also, I remember that National Council on Establishment threw out even the one for medical the consultant. I learned of the physician. I learned they have gone to the president. The president, after approving, has also referred them to National Council on Establishment. National Council on Establishment will be sitting in November. I know it's part of what they are going to still deliberate upon. I'm also aware that the various unions are advocating, and I'm also aware that those issues will be discussed at National Council on Establishment. It's not within the purview of the PCN. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Before Chairman will closing remark, I'd like our immediate past National Secretary, Dr. Motihat Olulawal, sorry, ma, for mutilating your name, Dr. Motihat Olulawal, to kindly appreciate our speaker for tonight, Registrar of PCN. Thank you. Dr. Olulawal, are you with us? Okay, so much time. If she's not with us, National Chairman Dr. Maureen for kindly appreciate our speaker and make the closing remarks. So someone, a volunteer, can lead us in the closing prayer.
Okay, thank you so much once again. I'm glad that I am here today listening to our dear PCN Registrar. Wow. So I think that you are very, very intelligent, but today I confirmed it. Wow. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us for almost 2 good hours and even more. We appreciate your presence. Despite your tight schedule, you are here with us. Thank you so much. We've learned a lot tonight. We are really educated. Both to the community in the hospital, we now know the scope of our practice. And those promises you made tonight, we pray that from next year, we're going to see those statements in our various licenses. I want to appreciate some dignitaries here on this call. I cited our double prophet, Dr. Elijah Mohammed. He was on this call, and I cited Dr. Anthony Idoko of PCN Abuja. So we love you for being here with us. Also, Professor Ezekiel Akin Kumi is here too. Pharmacist Amina Omar, HOD Inspection and Monitoring PCN. Thank you, ma, for joining us. Also, my dear Enugu State PCN Coordinator, Pharmacist Choma Chukwu, is here too with us from the beginning till now. Ma, we appreciate your presence. So, my dear SIPA members, we've seen it all. We've heard from our dear PCN Registrar, So we must have to abide within the ambit of the law concerning pharmacy practice. Thank you so much. Please join us next week Friday as we continue to educate ourselves in order to improve our practice and improve our patient health outcomes. Thank you so much for having us back.
Thank you, Dr. Maureen. I appreciate this opportunity under your leadership. And I appreciate every member of CPAN for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. Now, Chairman. Come to the
And let
end
me also
of
greet my Oga that was in the house. I didn't know, Dr. Elijah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please, we've come to the end of the night. Can led by the spirits do us the honors of having
Dr. Chidelo Chukwu, close us, please.
In Jesus' name, our
Amen.
Father and our God, we thank you for your presence tonight. We thank you for all that we have heard and learned tonight. We thank you for our guest speaker who had to enlighten us on what we need to know concerning the profession. Father, we thank you because our profession is going higher and higher, and our pharmacy profession shall be in our nation shall really have an impact and be known worldwide. Father, we thank you. Thank you for everyone that came on board. Thank you for everyone that brought an idea that will help us to know better. Father, we ask you for grace to practice well. We ask you for grace to practice and not enter into problems. Thank you, O God, for answered prayers. As we go to bed tonight, may you be with us. May we sleep and wake up well tomorrow and continue to do our practice. Receive the wisdom, strength, and grace to get ourselves better and more enhanced to do well. Thank you for we have prayed in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you, Dr.
We
Good night,
appreciate
all.
our moderators.
Thank you all.
Pastor
Good night.
Ronald, Dr.
Sorry,
Issa. God bless you all.
Thank you, everyone. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
sir.